Yo, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Loyal Media Sports Podcast, episode 5. In this episode, me and Ali will talk about the news that just broke about the whole Jamal Adams situation. Manish Mehta wrote a whole article, and there's a lot of quotes from Jamal Adams that we will get into. And yes, I know your first instinct is why are you trusting a Manish article, but no, Jamal Adams confirmed that everything in the article is true. It's basically Jamal Adams' point of view of things, and it's all of Jamal Adams' point of view. So it's one-sided in this perspective. So we'll try to implement of the Joe Douglas perspective and the organization's point of view. But in this podcast, me and Ali will be breaking down that situation. So Ali, what are your first thoughts when you heard this news this morning?
I thought it was gonna be a chill Friday. I was gonna just chill today, and then boom, Manish Mehta dropped a bomb on us, and it's a big bomb. It's the saga continues with Jamal Adams pretty much, and the things that he said in the quotes are very, very powerful, especially him aiming at Joe Douglas, the ownership, and Adam Gase. So saying that he has no leadership, he's not gonna take you to your promised land. This is what he said about Gase. He said at the end of the day, he doesn't address the team. If there's a problem in the locker room, he lets another coach address the team. If we're playing blank and we are losing, he doesn't address the entire team as a group at halftime. He'll walk out of the locker room and let another coach handle it. That's just very deep. That's very specific.
Yeah, so if you guys tuned into our episode 4 of Loyal Media when we had Matt O'Leary on the show, I literally talked about this exact situation with Gase, and I said I think Adam Gase lacks leadership qualities, and I don't like that about Gase. You need a guy that's a head coach that coaches every single player on the field, and Adam Gase seems like he just worries about the offense and he just forgets about the defense. He makes other coaches do the things for him that a head coach should be doing. Like what Jamal Adams just said there basically was in halftime, say that the Jets are losing. Adam Gase says, you know what, Greg Williams, do you mind taking over for this? Or Brant Boyer, another coach, do you mind doing this? No, Adam Gase, you are a head coach. This is your duty to galvanize the guys and be a head coach, a leadership. I don't care if you're just an offensive mind and at a head coach. You should be an offensive coordinator if that's what your perspective is. We need a guy that is going to lead this entire football team, that players want to win for the coach. That's where a lot of culture and winning organizations come from. They have a really good head coach where they look at the head coach and like, you know what? I want to win for this guy. I want to sweat and do everything in my power to win a Super Bowl for my head coach. And Adam Gase has not come off as that guy. That was the same thing in Miami. How many times did Miami get rid of their stars because of Adam Gase? When we first hired Gase, my first instinct was like, please make sure that he does not drive away any of our stars. And look exactly what's happening. Jamal Adams wants out because of Adam Gase, but Adam Gase is not the only reason. He's just part of the problem. And we saw out of the Manish article, he called out Joe Douglas as well. He broke down the whole situation with that. And basically what happened was there's a lot of miscommunications. And Joe Douglas told Jamal right after the offseason, we're going to extend you and we want you to be a Jet for life. And then Joe Douglas went in press conference. He said, we want to make you a Jet for life. So Jamal Adams is like, you know what? Yeah, this team respects me. They want to make me a Jet. They want to pay me. And then the draft comes along, and then Joe Douglas tells Jamal's camp, we're going to worry about the contract situation after the draft. Then we get to after the draft. Joe Douglas speaks to Jamal in his camp. He says, you know what, Jamal, we went over this whole situation. We realized we want to wait to talk about the extensions till next offseason. That did not sit with Jamal right because he was told that we were going to get paid now, and then he gets told that we want to wait because we want to see if you actually want to be a Jet. We want to monitor the situation, and that just twisted Jamal Adams the wrong way, and that's why he wants to be traded. So there's a lot of stuff to get into in this podcast about this article. Manish really brought us a lot of inside information about what's going on. So, yeah, I mean, it's just really upsetting, honestly.
Like what Jamal Adams was mentioning a lot in the article and when he was talking to Manish is that Joe Douglas probably gave him a number that he'll put an offer for him in early of this year. And he never got the offer. I think that's what's pissing him off a little bit more because they were giving him a number, but they never came with him with an offer, and that's pissing him off a little bit more. And the miscommunication with, I don't think he's had much contact with Joe Douglas either. And the Jets Joe Douglas wants to keep him. He openly said it. We've said it a lot, like everywhere. It's been saying that. But Jamal Adams' mindset is he wants to get paid now, like what the Jets said to him. I've seen so many mixed reports, and I don't know who to believe now. I don't know if I should trust Jamal Adams or Joe Douglas, but I think both parties are at fault at this point. I think it's just complete miscommunications, like you said, and it just the situation just keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse.
Exactly.
And he's supposed to be at training camp next week. How's he going to be at training camp next week and not be awkward with all the coaches there, all these guys back in the locker room? How's he going to react? And he's supposed to be at training camp next week. That's what amazed me. Like, I want to hear those conversations. I want to talk to players and be like, what is it like Jamal Adams, who's openly said, I want to be out of this team. I want to get traded. I requested a trade. I don't like Joe Douglas. I hate Adam Gase. He's pretty much said this openly. And how do you think everyone's going to react in the locker room? It's going to be an absolute mess.
It really is going to be a mess. I don't know how this is going to happen. Joe Douglas is now open to trading Jamal, so that's the first time we heard that report. And honestly, Joe Douglas has done a phenomenal job ever since he became a Jets general manager. This situation that just broke is the first time where I can criticize him. I do not think he handled this right. You can tell that he's a rookie GM. He does not have experience of contract situations. He came from an organization in Baltimore where he handled the scouting and the drafting, and that was his expertise. So now he's learning the whole situations of financial flexibility, handling contract situations. You can tell that he's not experienced in this, which is okay. But I really wish the whole communication side was better. It's obviously that's a reason why Jamal Adams wants out, because Joe Douglas told him something and then last minute switched it up on him. And that is not going to sit well with your superstar. Jamal Adams wants to be compensated. He wants to feel like this organization respects him and feels like we value you. I feel like Jamal Adams more or less wants to feel like he is valued here more than get paid. He wants to feel from the top down, from the ownership to the GM to the head coach, that they value his talent, because Jamal Adams has been the heart and soul of this defense for the past 3 years. In 2019, this Jets defense had so many injuries with C.J. Mosley and countless other guys. Jamal Adams played his ass off throughout the entire season, and we finished top 10 in defense, number 2 overall in rushing defense. Jamal Adams was a huge reason why. I'm not saying he is the only reason why, but without Jamal Adams on the field last year, this Jets defense is bottom 25, in my opinion. The defensive line is really excellent. They played their tails off last year, but Jamal Adams is the heart and soul of the defense. So it's just unfortunate that the Jets did not realize what they have in Jamal. Like, if you did not want to extend Jamal this offseason, you should have told him that straight up. Listen, Jamal, we value you. You want to make you a Jet for life, but we're going to talk about extending you next offseason because we want to get good players in the building this year and build a contender. If they said that to Jamal right away, I think this would not be a situation. But they told Jamal, we're going to extend you this offseason, and then they switched it up on him last minute. That just did not sit with Jamal Adams, right? So this is going to be really interesting. They're going to report to training camp next week, and Jamal Adams is supposed to be there. He said he would never sit out because he still is chasing greatness, and that's not what great players do. That's what he said in the quote. So it's going to be really interesting. Joe Douglas is going to be probably on the phone calling a lot of teams now, because now it's out there. Now, do teams even want Jamal Adams because of what he's doing to the Jets organization? Are they worried that they might call out their organization? So it's going to be a big situation. This is a huge test for Joe Douglas, as we said multiple times on this podcast. So it's really ugly. It really is an ugly situation, from the Woody Johnson situation to this.
I mean, I feel like the respect part is the biggest thing about this. He quoted pretty much saying that he would respect if Joe Douglas was open about what he wants to do, if he wants to bring players in. So the quote was, if they would have just said, you know what, Jamal, we're not going to look to pay you this year. We want to keep adding players. I would have respect that more. I would say, you know what, I respect it as a man. I get it, understand it. It's a business. So it's just complete miscommunication between both sides. If Joe Douglas was more open to talking to Jamal, figuring it out with your star player, the best player on your team, and just made sense about it, I think it would be a much smoother transition. He wouldn't have requested a trade. We would not have to deal with the saga right now before training camp. And here we are. We're dealing with it right now, and the Jets the Jets always somehow ruin it. Ruin all these good players, just driving them away from the team. And the Jets need good players, and we're just losing them by not talking to them. That's pretty much what's happening right now.
Yeah, it really comes down to ownership, I think, and it all starts from up top. We all saw what happened to Woody Johnson. He got called out for having racist and sexist remarks, and that's just not a good look for this Jets organization. And it's another reason why they should,
In the same week.
yeah, in the same week. This is just not looking good for the Jets. It's just, I mean, as a Jets fan, any Jets fans that's listening to this or watching this, we can all agree it's been a really terrible decade to be a Jets fan. We haven't been to the playoffs since 2010, and it just feels like every single year something bad happens, and this is just the next thing on the plate for us. So I'm hoping that the whole Woody Johnson situation really pushes them to sell the team, but I don't expect that to happen. I don't even know if the reports are true or not. I know it's speculation and stuff, but I just really hope that Joe Douglas can learn from this mistake and not make it again. Where we are right now, he has to trade Jamal. Jamal is not going to be a Jet. He does not want to be here. He does not like Gase. He just called out everybody. So Jamal's going to be gone. I'm just hoping that Joe Douglas gets a lot of players back or good draft picks back, and then he learns from this and realizes, you know what, if I have a superstar talent on my roster, I'm doing everything I can to give him the money he deserves, because you know how rare it is to have a guy like Jamal Adams on your team. Jamal Adams is destined to be great. He is on the path of greatness. He's going to be one of the best safeties to ever play the game, in my opinion, whether it's on the Jets or not. So it's just really unfortunate that they just do not know how to maintain a superstar talent like Jamal, and it's just getting ugly, and it's just so unfortunate. It really is, but it's nothing new as a Jets fan.
You know, I've grown sympathy for Jamal Adams after today a little bit more than I had maybe a week ago. You know, if this is all true and everything he said is correct, I do feel for him because he is a star player. And if they did make that promise that they would make an offer this year, early this year, then it makes sense for him because it was before the pandemic. I understand like the pandemic came, and you should understand that there was a pandemic, but other deals are happening. I understand that part. And if the Jets actually said that they were going to offer something, then it makes sense for him to be upset. But the one thing I don't like is he's dragging the entire team down right now. And pretty much without talking to them, he's pretty much just dragging them down and he just keeps talking about it. And rather than even though he's going to be at training camp next week, other players are going to have to answer questions about him now. So he's going to be the topic at the facility now. So all these players have to deal with his stuff too. And that's not good. That's not being a leader. Bringing everyone else in your team down, and they're going to have to answer. The offense going to have to answer questions. Other coaches have to answer the questions. Like, what do you expect? Like, this is just complete mess for the team, for him, and for the organization.
This is a complete mess. You hit it on the nail. And I think Jamal Adams is doing this for one reason, and it is to get him the hell out of here. I think he's trying to get out of New York. He's just probably talking to his dad. He's talking to his agent. He's talking to all of his friends. And they're like, you know what? I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to expose the truth. And you know what? The truth hurts sometimes. And this is the truth. This is facts. This is not made up. This is Jamal Adams' words about the whole situation from the organization. And yes, this is his side of it. So there's two sides of this perspective. We do not know Joe Douglas's point of view of this. It could be different from his eyes, but that's just the way life is. There's always two sides of the story. And this is Jamal Adams' side of the story that we're giving to you. And it's very ugly. And like you said, it's going to be the topic of the situation when training camp happens. And it's the last thing this Jets team needs going into this season, where we don't even know how the whole situation is going to work with this pandemic. No fans, how they're going to be safe. There's so many things that's going to be factoring into the season. And this is just something that's going to be over this Jets. Like, it's a huge, heavy cloud that's just going to make this whole situation even worse. And it's just unfortunate because Jamal's doing everything he can to get out of New York. And that's what it feels like. I respect Jamal Adams as a person. I respect Joe Douglas. I'm just in the middle. I'm not on either side. I'm just giving you guys the perspective from both sides, in my opinion.
You know, the ownership needs to change 100%. Every Jets fan's going to agree right now with me that ownership, nothing's going to change until the ownership change. I mean, it's just, first of all, there was a report of him being sexist, like the owner of this team, like a couple days ago. So that tells you a lot, because who other GM is on the news right now for sexist comments? And it just doesn't make sense to me and we've said this team has been so bad under Woody Johnson and Christopher Johnson. It's been so bad. Players have left for bad reasons. And, you know, I've seen a lot of former Jets players, like, like Antonio Cromartie, like defend Jamal Adams too, and on Twitter openly saying stuff. And maybe there is something wrong, and it's not Jamal Adams' fault. It's just pretty much the entire Jets organization just screwing them over, all these players over, all these guys that are putting their hearts out for the team to win games. And it's frustrating because Jamal Adams gave it 100% every game. And we all know that because of how many plays, and he was so fun to watch, and he was a fan favorite. But the way everything's getting handled by the organization and Jamal Adams, it's just been a complete mess, like I said earlier, and it's just gonna get worse and worse until he gets traded, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, going into the ownership, when it comes to being an owner in a market like New York, it's not just the Jets. The Knicks with Dolan, terrible owner, and Johnson's terrible ownership. And I think the reason is because these owners are making so much profit from these organizations, even when they suck. Like, for example, for the New York Knicks, Dolan makes the most money out of any owner every single season, and the New York Knicks have been terrible for how long? I don't even know how long. It feels like my entire life. So that's why Dolan's like, you know what? I'm making all this money. I don't really care if we win. So I feel like that's the same with the Johnsons. They're like, we're making all this money, so they're just lackadaisical. They don't really care about winning so much because they're profiting millions and millions in dollars every single season. So they have no drive to try to win. Christopher Johnson is the reason why Adam Gase is the head coach. I'm questioning that. I was very optimistic about Adam Gase when we hired him. I digested it. At first, I was upset. I was like, yo, like, no, like, why him? He was the last one on my list. Then I digested it. And then I'm like, you know what? He's a good offensive mind. But now I'm realizing I don't really trust Adam Gase. I'm not an Adam Gase fan. If we can, like, make Adam Gase the offensive coordinator and then hire a head coach, maybe I'm all for it. But right now, I'm not sold on the Johnsons. And it's unfortunate because it's not like we can just fire the Johnsons. Like, they have to sell the team. It has to be up to them to sell them. And we all know that who we want to buy the team, and Gary Vee. Gary Vee is not even close to being able to afford the Jets yet, but he's looking at that in 30 years from now. Gary Vee's looking to buy the team, and that's his long-term plan. So it's going to be a really interesting year for the Jets. We've been in the news all week about the Woody Johnson situation. Now we've been in the whole news for the past months with the whole Jamal Adams situation, and now Joe Douglas gets called out. Adam Gase gets called out. So it's just a mess. I mean, look at the Giants. Do the Giants have any messes? Like, what's going on? Why are the Jets always in the media?
Their cornerback being accused with.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that. Okay, I'll take that back. DeAndre Baker, that was the biggest situation. But, yeah, it's just a really upsetting situation to be a Jets fan right now. And I feel like there's always something every year, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, that's really much I have to say about this whole situation.
I mean, so the ownership's bad. Let's do this. Let's count this up. Ownership's bad. Just got accused of making sexist comments.
And racist
comments. Then your coach should never been hired. Another thing. Adam Gase should have never been hired. Mike McCarthy was at the door. Matt Rule was at the door.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Kingsbury was at the door. Three
Eric
options. Huh?
Eric Bieniemy. I can't say his last name, but the offensive coordinator.
Look how many options. Look how many options you have. Like, okay.
Man,
and then lastly, you're making your star player unhappy. It's a completely awful situation in New York.
Listen, I'm probably one of the most optimistic Jets fans. Like, all my friends always say, whenever there's a disaster going on, I'm always looking at the light side. I'm always trying to look at the optimistic side of things. But this is so hard to look at. Well, where's the positives here? Where do I look for the positives? It's like, okay, Joe Douglas, no, there's really no avenue for it. I'm trying to look for it, but we're just giving you guys the straight up facts. And it's unfortunate because these facts are depressing. And I'm just hoping that this Jets team can just prove a lot of people wrong this season. I don't even know. I mean, it's just so crazy what's going on with this team. It's really, but at the same time, it's not surprising. It really isn't. No.
Every year we have something that goes on with the Jets. Off season when the Jets are banging in the news. That's when they're amazing in the news. It's coming out. Oh, we're signing like these record deals. We're signing, and then we're like in the news for pretty much bad mouthing our safety, our star player, and pretty much not giving him the money, not talking to him, and pretty much hating us. So like the Jets are known to completely ruining their great things. So this doesn't surprise me, like you said. And, I hope this just gets over with before the season starts.
You know who I feel so bad for? Sam Darnold. Such a good dude, has so much potential. In my opinion, going to be our franchise quarterback for the future. But man, could he have never? You cannot write a worse situation for a quarterback to get drafted into than Sam Darnold. I mean, first 2 years, I already had two coaching changes and terrible offensive line, no continuity, and now he has to deal with this. His owner being called racist and sexist, his GM being called out by his star player, his star player being called out by his the head coach calling out, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. It's just so unfortunate. Sam Darnold is sitting here probably like, damn, like what am I supposed to do? I mean, he's been absolutely nothing but fantastic off the field. He has no Twitter. He's not anywhere on social media. That's why I love Darnold, but I just feel so bad for him. He's the one positive I would say from this whole situation that I think Sam Darnold has a lot to prove. He is proven to deal with adversity. His first game ever as a New York Jet showed that. His first pass was a pick six on Monday Night Football, and then he bounces back to 2 touchdowns and leads the Jets to win. And I feel like that game shows you Sam Darnold, how he can mentally push through things. So I'm looking at Sam Darnold right now, looking at this whole situation, and hopefully he's mentally tough enough to, cancel out the noise. Jamal Adams situation he's not worrying about. Adam Gase is not worrying about. Joe Douglas he's not worrying about. He's not listening to all this stuff, and he's just squaring in because the most important thing of this 2020 season is the development of Sam Darnold and for him to prove to be our franchise guy.
Again, one thing to point out about Sam Darnold and Jamal Adams. Sam Darnold texted his teammates, his new teammates, rookies, to come out and practice with them. He didn't have to do that, but he did. And it just annoys me when Jamal Adams would pretty much retweet CeeDee Lamb or some other guy rather than not retweeting like, oh, a Sam Darnold pass, and can be like, oh, that's my quarterback. Or Rashad Perriman making a nice catch. Oh, that's a new wide receiver, bro. Can't wait to see you in practice. Or like something fun.
I think I think that's just because Jamal Adams at that point of view was like, yeah, I'm done with the Jets. Yeah.
He's done with the Jets.
He's absolutely done with the Jets. Me personally, I don't even know where I sit in this situation anymore. I love Jamal Adams, and maybe I don't agree with some of the things that he's done, but at the same time, looking at the whole perspective of all the news that broke today, I understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, I do understand where Joe Douglas is coming from. I'm right in the middle, man. This is just
no. I've grown a lot of sympathy for Jamal Adams a little bit today. I kind of don't like that he spoke out, but I kind of do like that he spoke out.
The truth needs to come out. I mean, all Jets fans have been sitting back here speculating what the problem is. Is it the money? Is it Gase? Is it this? Is it that? And finally, we get the truth. And that's what the Jets fans needed. We needed this.
Now we need to hear from Joe Douglas' side of what the hell is going on. What if there's actually something going on and are you trading him or are you letting him go? What's the problem here? Like, did you promise him saying that you were going to put an offer for him, give an offer, but you never gave it? Is that what's going on right now? So, I mean, it's just frustrating. It is so
very frustrating. Very frustrating, and Joe Douglas is going to be calling teams and trying to trade Jamal before the season starts because I think that's what's going to happen. You don't want to have a player on the team that just simply called out your head coach and simply does not want to be a Jet. As much as I love Jamal, he cannot play for the Jets this year, honestly. And me personally, wherever he goes, I'll be rooting for Jamal. I mean, I'll be looking at him and probably upset seeing him play at an elite level, not on the Jets, but I love Jamal's game. I think he's destined to be great, but it's just really unfortunate how this whole situation ended with Jamal. And this is only the beginning of the situation because we still have to move him. And it's going to be training camp starts, like you said. Jamal Adams is going to be the topic of the conversation. There's going to be everyone's asking about Jamal Adams. And it's just going to be really unfortunate. It really does. But that does it for this episode of Loyal Media. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And stay tuned on this podcast because we have a very special exclusive interview coming out very soon with former Jets running back Thomas Jones. So make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe to the podcast, and appreciate you guys taking your time to listening and watching us. So hope you guys have a fantastic day.
Have a nice day, guys. Don't get too mad.
Don't get too mad. Let's go Jets. Peace out.